So I grew up watching cartoons, Looney Tunes, because back in the 70s, pretty much everything was syndicated. So I watched a lot of cartoons and just always did voices and never really had any idea that that was like a calling or anything like that. Not that it was, but, and I would do accents just walking around the house. I don't know why. I watched a lot of Monty Python, and I watched a lot of Benny Hill, and I watched a lot of Mel Brooks movies, because that in the 80s, everything was acceptable and funny.
Yeah.
And then I was in a band for a long time. I played drums and traveled around. And when that ended in 2000, I was working in construction, and I was literally digging a ditch up at the Lawrence Berkeley lab doing an electrical installation for an industrial contractor. And my dad called me and said, there's a woman on KGO who has a voiceover school. And he's like, and you should listen to it. So I turned it on. Her name was Samantha Paris, and she had a school called Voice Tracks in Sausalito, California. And I was like, huh. I mean, I was obsessed with The Simpsons at the time, where I would literally videotape and watch The Simpsons probably about, this was, you know, when I was in a band and had very little else to do besides make poor choices in life and watch The Simpsons. 18 and under panel. It was something that it never really occurred to me that those guys were voice actors. You know, I knew that three guys did, you know, all of the male voices, which I thought was amazing. And so I went to this school and took classes, and you know, it was sort of difficult because I was very uncomfortable in my own skin. I still kind of am, but it was just something that I never thought I would be able to do, sort of straight, you know, commercial stuff, or just sort of natural things in my own voice. And I gave myself, you know, I took classes and it was frustrating and whatnot, and nothing was really happening. My wife told me that I had to give it 5 years. She's like, give it 5 years, and if it doesn't work out, then you can stop. And it was like 4 years and 9 months that
27 days.
Our agent, her friend Nate Tico, said like, hey, what's your story? And I was like, I don't really have a story. He's like, well, you should come in and start reading for us. And so I was happy to do that, and then booked a job within a couple months. And then 2 years or so after that, I threw another class, because I went to this school and just took classes with agents and producers, people that could hire me. I learned early on that taking the classes from actors was helpful at first, and then you got to that point where it was like, okay, so I feel like I can do it, so I want to find, you know, a way to do it. So I was taking classes with people that would hire me or would send me copy. And I got signed with my agent in Los Angeles sort of the same way, where there was a class that was like, you know, you win the class and you get to go to Los Angeles and read for them.
Prize.
And then they signed me the following week, and so I've been with them since about 10 years now. So that is my story. It's boring.
It's not boring. Doom and gloom, everybody.
This is a question from both of us. We got to hear a little bit of Clementine just now, and I know it's more about, you know, you as a voice actor, but what were, let's say, maybe 4 of your favorite lines that Kenny's done, like the most memorable to you?
So the most memorable, and I probably can't perform it because it was well, yeah.
Every other word is
pretty much every other panel where
F
I've
you.
ever done was FU, but because it always gets the laughs. A funny story, it was like season 2 when we were recording, for whatever reason, like the last 3 or 4 of the whole episodes, after every line I would say that. I don't even know why, and they thought it was hilarious. Julian thought it was hilarious.
It looks like everyone's here above 18 if you want to give it a shot.
No, I don't want to break the rules. I can be clean. But my favorite line was probably like, take the kids, which I can't really perform, but I mean, just doing the voice of that, oh, come on, Lee, you know, or something like that. But, you know, bourbon. For me, it was my favorite line was take them or take the kids. I don't know which one they used because we recorded both. But that was my favorite scene to perform. I felt pretty good about that. I like that one a lot.
The selflessness?
What's that? No, I just love that, you know, because it was tough. That season was tough because it was like, we started and it was like, yeah, he's crazy, so you gotta have it. We had a few times where it was like, he had a really weird laugh, you know, like in that campfire scene, or whatever the scene is.
He laughed a little too
sort of
hard.
cabin where he laughs a little too hard and too long, and they're okay, I'd say, crazy's too high.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they actually.
Something's changed.
I don't play the games that I work on, so I don't really know what's implemented.
You never played The Walking Dead?
He just, you know what? Don't even ask him that because it'll just piss me off.
Yeah, sorry.
I get so angry.
I don't like
that.
hearing. I don't like hearing things I work on.
Such amazing
video
performance.
games,
Is his performance not amazing?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, dude, you haven't even seen it.
I have not. I'm very critical, so
He is.
very self-critical. So for me to hear it, it's I'm thinking, oh, why did they use that take? Why didn't I do this? My accent's slipping. This, that.
I suck.
Yeah, I'm bad at this. No, initially when I started doing this job, like I would have a job and I'd be like, well, that's probably the last one. I'm gonna go get a job.
And then he works
I'm gonna
like
go get a
8
job in a
jobs
soup
a
kitchen.
day.
Yeah, I don't do that as much anymore.
Don't you like the accent?
Harry.
This is the question. I had a friend in Florida who wanted to come down and see if she couldn't make it. I'm sorry to say that. But she loved your character Kenny in The Walking Dead, and she wanted to ask, it's a two-part thing, whether either way. There's the scene where Kenny's baby goes missing, and how it felt to have to act out that scene, like just in that emotional moment. And then just in general, like having to do him for over such a long period of time, what it felt like as he progressed.
Well, see, that's a great question because he was like, initially he's just like, oh, you get splatters in your hair.
You know what I mean? And he was just like happy-go-lucky guy. Like he's got everything.
guy with
He's
the
got
boat.
his wife. He's got his kid. All he
He's got
needs
a
is a
boat.
boat. You know what I mean? And then it's like, you know, I assumed from the beginning. It's like, okay, so I would go into every session. I'm like, so how do I die? And they'd be like, you don't. I'm like, oh, okay. And then like the third episode, it's like, so how do I die? And they're like, you don't, but. Everybody else does. And so that was tough. I really didn't know that there was going to be that kind of emotional roller coaster. I didn't know that I could do that sort of thing. So
Like when she went at certain parts of the movie, like or in the story, she actually had to pause the game and stop. You did that well of a job for her.
right on. That's awesome to hear. No, I mean, being able to make, I get after the first season, I would get a lot of emails from dudes that'll be like, you made me cry. And I was like, good. You know what I mean? To like I don't know, to have that kind of emotional impact, you know, in a video game for all of us just was incredibly moving. And I mean, how satisfying for most people, you know, and they were like, most of the reaction I would get, or that we would get, would be, this is the first time I've ever cried at a video game. And so we were just like, awesome. We are in some small way like breaking ground on providing emotional content in a story. You know what I mean? It's the writing and the story and whatnot. But those sort of emotional moments were difficult because I didn't know they were coming. You know, so they'd be like, okay, now you're dead. You know, I think I got better at it. You know, in the second season, I think I was able to convey it a little bit better, probably because you know some bad stuff had gone down in my life, and so there was more pain for me to tap into. But you know, I didn't know I could do it. So anytime that people tell me that I did, I'm thrilled that it came across. Because again, I don't know. You know, I do it, and I don't want to watch that scene because I'm going to be like, I don't buy it. So it's like, how can anybody else buy it? So I don't know.
Well, it's really good.
Thank you.
Take our word for it.
Venom.
I'm really only familiar with you two from the Walking Dead video games, but I was wondering if there are any characters you have any particular connection to, like you were really attached to.
All right, so for me, I really loved were you in a Vampire Tale?
I was.
So for me, I was this Scottish monk in this game called Vampire Tale, and so for me, I loved it because it was Scottish. And he's just, oh no, a vampire don't just roll up to you and say hello. You know, for me, that was tons of fun. I like comedic roles. You know, I mean, emotional roles are cool, but I always feel pretty kind of vulnerable and sort of not so sure I would want to say that that's a favorite. You know, I mean, I would much rather just have fun and have a good time. And you know, some of the League of Legends champions were a lot of fun. I play a lot of grunts. you know, like in Dead Space. Oh, Dead Space 3, I was a robot DLC skin that you could buy that would turn your, basically me doing a bad C-3PO. That was super fun. So there's a video on YouTube if you search for me in Dead Space 3. That's funny. And Adam Harrington made it. And it's just, he says things that are great. And I like the comedy, because I mean, I think I'm better at it than other things. What other characters? What characters did resonate with you besides Clam?
Besides Clam. God, there's so many. I really enjoyed being Trixie Trotter in Back to the Future. I'm staring at you because I'm guessing because you know so much about Telltale Games.
I used to work with them. So.
Oh, what?
I did some of the marketing for some of their games and some reviews for some of their earlier stuff. So.
Okay, right on. Trixie Trotter was fun just because she got to sing. She worked in a nightclub, and she was, you know, not the sharpest tool in the shed, but she was really sweet, you know.
That's a pretty good.
Thanks.
That's a pretty good Audrey.
Audrey. It is Audrey from Little Shop. That's kind of weird. Great. Now you're telling all my secrets.
I know.
Super. Cataloging voices, man.
Were you going for a very 40s accent for that?
What was that?
Were you going for like a 40s?
Well, it's just kind of, I don't know, like a New York kind of.
Yeah. I never had a chance to play all three of them. So.
Ditzy nightclub singer, you know, the typical blonde bombshell
Her name's
type thing.
Trixie, after all.
Trixie Trotter.
Trixie Trotter.
So yeah, it's kind of that like older New York kind of thing going on. But there's so many characters. You know, it's very, very grateful to be doing what I'm doing, as I'm sure Gavin is. It's so much fun to go into a studio and see this awesome artwork of something that's going to be animated and brought to life, and you get to put a voice behind it. So I feel just grateful for basically any job. I don't really walk out of a studio. I mean, there is some of that stuff he's talking about, the corporate narrative. I mean, those are the jobs that I'm
medical narration.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But again, grateful to be doing it because I'm getting paid to talk.
Yep.
But yeah, there's so many characters that have been just amazing. It's hard to really name one. But she got to sing, and I like to sing. So, yeah. Sir?
Just to go back for a second, because we was kind of talking about some of the cursing that was in Walking Dead and everything.
Yeah, there's a little of it.
I mean, I really like the game and everything, but what was there a reason why they wanted to make everything so profane for most of the entire game?
Because they didn't have AMC saying, you can't say that. It's real, man. I don't know. I'm personally, if this were the 18 plus panel, I curse like a truck driver.
It sounded
Is someone trying to kill you?
Probably, yeah.
Just my
That's
mouth.
probably
I can't help it. It's just a real thing. I mean, there are people who don't use foul language, but I mean, most of my friends and people I know are, you know.
We're from California, so we can say anything on
I'm
TV.
from Missouri originally.
I'm from
My friends there are the same. It's real. Like, you wouldn't be like, oh gosh, darn it. You know, that zombie. You'd be like, I mean, you would literally be, I would, maybe somebody
I
else
also
would naturally just be like, phooey.
But we're profane people.
So if Walking Dead was on like Stars or Showtime or HBO, it'd
It
be.
would,
Oh, God.
yeah.
Yes.
Could get, oh yeah, the scene
Probably the
between,
violence would be the
scene
same,
between
but-
Jane and Luke would have been interesting if it was
Yeah.
on Stars or HBO.
That would have played out a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Clementine would have walked into something she maybe might have been like, my eyes! Birds and bees, kid. So I just think it's just natural. It's a really stressful, dark environment. And
It's rated M for mature.
it's
you know.
rated M for mature. Yeah, so
That's what they won't do.
I think that's why, just the natural course of things.
Yes, ma'am.
She said that, and this kind of came to mind. If Clementine were to learn that from either Kenny or Lee, which one do you think would explain it better?
Oh, Lee, no question.
Yeah, Kenny would be
would
like,
explain
"Ah,"
it real bad.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just put the thing in the.
When a bird and a bee, or oh, how's that go?
Yeah, Kenny would maybe not be. Lee would like have a nice like.
Kenny would
real
have like
warm-
That was early Kenny.
try to draw it. Maybe.
That was early Kenny. What would late Kenny do?
Late Kenny would probably just tell it like it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I can, certainly the 18 and under panel, I cannot.
Yeah. Lee would be pretty eloquent about that. He would give it a nice spin.
So, how do you guys pick up all these cool accents and then perfect them?
Listening,
Yeah, just being that
watching
weirdo.
too much TV.
Yeah, basically.
Monty
yeah.
Python.
Yeah, it just. Someone will walk by me on the street and maybe they'll have like a weird like like a weird laugh and it just soaks into my head and I'll like I'm very sensitive to like sounds and hearing people and then I have this weird need to totally emulate what they did and try to match its tone. Again, I don't know if it's like, and I'm not just saying, well, it helps to have like really good pitch, but I think with me, I do try to find, it's like I hear the pitches of where the people are with their voices and certain accents and, you know, all over the world, and I don't know.
I studied linguistics too.
He actually did
that
study linguistics.
because I wanted to be a voice actor, and I was like, theater, phonology, that's where it's at, dialectology. So I can write them out, which is, I guess, kind of helpful, but
Yeah.
in some way. I never do, but I could. I've got new neighbors that just moved from North Dakota, so that's pretty cool. Just
Yeah.
to listen to him.
North Dakota is hell. I lived there for too long, man.
Too long.
It's pretty.
There's nothing up there.
Under 18 panel. We don't use the HE double hockey stick in here, sir.
I think.
Who meant you?
What is your favorite accent to do?
I would walk around, and I'm not going to do it here, I've already probably done too much, but I would be quite content to walk around for the rest of my life speaking with a Southern accent.
Yeah.
Probably
that's
Texas,
good.
because he's sort of Southern, kind of rural Texas, because that's probably what I'm better suited to do, or Scottish. I was in an elevator once, I was on tour, in an elevator, it was loading or something like that, and the bouncer was obviously Scottish because he was helping me load. And I said something to him, and he's like, "That's not bad." And I thought he was going to kick my effing teeth in.
Yours.
But so I felt vindicated by that. So Scottish or Texan?
Yeah, I like British. I as well. I'm from the Ozarks, so I can do.
She turned it
that.
on and off like a faucet.
I know the plane like lands, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Hey y'all," I mean, it's just any of those. It'd be better for me to say the accents that I'm not good at doing.
South African is very hard.
South African,
New Zealand
yeah.
is tough.
Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah.
Had an audition
that's
for that. It's horrible.
Can you do like a British hick voice?
Well, a British hick would be like Cockney.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Huh? Aye?
Or Somerset?
Where's that?
I think it's Somerset. It's basically the accent that became the pirate accent because the person from the
Well, anyone can do a pirate. And why wouldn't you want to talk like a pirate? The problem with my pirate is it gets loud, so I can't do it too much. I just spent a long time talking like a pirate, and it was some of the best weeks of my life.
Yeah, pirate.
Got to sing like a pirate. Oh man.
See, now I kind of want to ask you to do Kenny as a pirate.
Well, it wouldn't be that hard.
It's not. They're not that far apart.
Yeah.
Sing
We
like
have apparently 5 minutes left, so
Oh no.
I know. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. Wait, what?
What?
We have another panel?
2:30.
Oh.
We're gonna say all the same stuff we've already said.
I don't know anything. I know nothing.
Try to come up with some new questions.
Yeah, I know, right? All of you have to come up with new
We
questions.
got no new answers.
It's kind of a two-part question for each of you. Or, for one, how do you think Lee would feel about Clementine at the end of season 2? Do you feel that he would think that she took pretty good care of herself and made good decisions throughout? And for you, do you think how do you think Lee would feel about how things went down between you and Clementine at the end?
I think he'd be proud of Clementine. I think he would be
disappointed
like,
in
I
Kenny.
did well. I taught her well because obviously she's she's actually far superior in many cases than a lot of the adults she's hanging out with, as far as smarts and
No, he'd be disappointed.
all of them,
I
pretty
think
much.
He'd be disappointed in Kenny, no question.
They're all kind of bumbling around and making stupid decisions, except for Clementine. I think he'd be happy with her.
So,
Disappointed in Kenny.
so do you think if Lee was still around back when, at least by the end of season 2, he just popped up for whatever reason?
As a zombie?
Let's say Ghost.
Okay.
He do you think he would have tried to take out Kenny?
Yeah, probably. I think he would have seen the rot in Kenny.
Yeah.
I think so.
Rot.
I mean, that's what they wanted. They wanted him rotten, so we tried to make him rotten.
Did you have a question back there before we close it up? You?
Who wants to be last? Anyway?
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm like forcing people to ask a question.
I got one more if you want. On those late night talk shows, that you always have a lot of the actors and actresses from movies and TV shows, but I don't really see that many actors and actresses from video games. Why do you think y'all get excluded so much? Because I mean, you guys do a lot more work than a lot of TV shows and movies. I mean,
Well, you can do a lot more VO in a day.
Yeah.
You can do 4 or 5 VO sessions in a day.
Yeah.
I think that the voiceover industry, well, a lot of the voiceover industry is being taken over by, on-camera actors, which, whatever, that's a whole nother conversation. But I do think because of how huge the video game industry is in particular, like it actually makes more money than Hollywood does as far as cinema.
And music combined.
And music combined, it's crazy. I think that voice actors are actually starting to have a place in that.
It's definitely
We'll see more.
changing. There's a lot more recognition of voice
like
actors.
Troy Baker. Oh my God, Troy Baker! I mean, people actually like are starting to get like,
Yeah, there's more. There's
more of that
definitely
kind
more
of fandom.
recognition of, you guys are here. For example.
Yeah, thank you, by the way, everyone who showed up. Thank
All right,
you.
Harry, last question.
One last question, just for fun and kicks and everything. I know when you guys get in the studio, you guys are doing all the voices, you get into character and everything. But of course, there's always that moment where like you go off kilter on a line, like either a line gets recorded wrong and like you laugh it off or whatever, or you might keep it for an outtake or something like that. Did that ever happen like in recording like The Walking Dead or any other sort of project between you two?
Oh, I'm sure that Jory, the guy, Jory Prune, who's the engineer on most of that, or most of it, if not all of it, was engineered at his studio either by him or Tim Galida or Joel, I'm not sure what Joel's last name is.
There's lots of outtakes.
And there have to be, because
Yeah.
I mean, they usually just roll the whole time. And I mean, we'll be doing outtakes where I was like, F you, Luke, pretty much after they would say a line, or shut up, Bonnie, or something like that,
Yeah.
where, you'd be responding to somebody who's nasty. There have to be.
For
But
me,
where
if
they
I-
are, I don't know.
If I made a mistake as Clementine, sometimes I would roll into it with the voice and keep talking. But for me, if I mess up, sometimes I'll switch out because obviously we're vocally not.
Yeah, usually.
But there's lots of.
We can turn it on and
There's
off
good
like a
stuff.
faucet. I don't have to stay in character or anything like that, because there's all kinds of weirdness happening in here all the time.
All time.
So, all time in here had
All time
all
crazy.
weirdness now. So yeah, it's pretty easy to just switch it on and off.
I think we have to boogie.
Switch it off.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Woo!
If you guys want to come and hear more, they're going to be in main events at 2:30, and also they have autographs at 5 o'clock tonight.
The lovely and talented Hannah.
Awesome.